still it leaves us with not only with the feeling, but with the real power, or with a lot of influence, the impact that we have. Design is important. People understand this, and this actually gives us a lot of power. But it also means we need to take action, right? So like in the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility, and we need to make use of the power that we have and take action. And so the question is, what can we do, or what shall we do? Well, and when talking about sustainability, it is for sure about designing for saving energy, right? The most obvious one. Sustainable UX means to create products that consume less energy, that save energy. And so I'm bringing this up for a long time now, but I still have it in my talk because it's still so obvious. How many? Well, I can't see you now, but usually when I'm in a room with people, I ask, "Hey, how many of you have ever used a carousel in one of your web projects?" And usually, most of the people say, "Yes, I have. I have done this." And the problem is, well, it's a bad thing. Lots of data needs to be loaded onto the website, and most of the time it's useless data because most of the users never click the carousel. And the few who do not click on position 2, 3, or 4. And so we shouldn't use this anymore. We are the people who design it into the websites we build. And well, the good news in terms of web design actually is there are a lot more examples and a lot of resources how to design with less CO2 emissions, especially for the web. So it's not only about leaving out the carousel. It's also about I think we also need to think about where we can create really low impact sites. And I brought you one example here. That's from Denmark, the city of Herning, which is the 20th biggest city of Denmark, which, well, means it's not a really big city. But what they actually do is they offer an eco-friendly version of their website with no pictures, etc. I know. So on the left side, you see the normal website. On the right side, you see the eco-friendly one. Doesn't look so pretty, I know. But, well, who are the people using this website? It's people who live in the city, people who want to access information, and they want to access the information fast. They don't need big pictures and all these things. So it makes not only from the CO2 impact point of view, but also from the usability point of view, a lot of sense to create such a version of the website, right? So this leads me actually also to the next point, because it's not only about designing to save energy, but it's also about designing to drive sustainability, right? It's not only about building websites and digital products that consume less energy. It's also about design to drive sustainability by our users. And so this is an example of the shop Organic Basics, and they, I think, go even a step further. So that's the normal shop website they have. And what they also do, they offer a low impact site. So a lot of less pictures actually, etc., etc. But they even go one step further, because so what they are able to, they are measuring by what energy source the data center is driven almost live at the moment when a person comes to the website. And if this data center is not driven by enough sustainable regenerative energy, then they're putting the site down, and you see that on the right side. Then they say, hey, the low impact website is offline because actually it's not enough regenerative energy that is running the data center. You still can go to the shops, so they are not blocking users. But I think it's a great tool actually to create awareness and to teach people about, hey, this is what's going on. Websites, I mean, I always have the feeling for people like us, it's like, yeah, we know that websites consume energy. There are still a lot of people out there who do not really know that, who do not really have a feeling for, yeah, digital also needs a lot of energy. But I brought you another example, and I think we also need to teach our users to make more sustainable choices. And this is, sorry for the German screen, but well, I'm the German guy, so it's from my German Amazon account. We are all ordering lots of stuff in the internet, right? It's, well, we cannot avoid it. It's well, it is what it is. And the point is, so here I'm from Hamburg, a big city, And so the parcel delivery guy usually needs a whole day to deliver the parcels for my little street and the street that is in parallel. So it takes him a whole day. If he would just take all the parcels, bring them to the center of the two streets and deliver them there, it would take him, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. So the question is, why it's not the default option in all the shops that we actually build, not to deliver to our home door, but to deliver to a parcel hub, to the kiosk, whatever, right? It would be more effective. We would not need so many parcel delivery cars driving around of our cities, and it's just changing the default option actually in the shops. So a very, very small thing that we can do in our designs. But let's move on. We also need to solve the right problems because, well, we call ourselves problem solvers, right? And that is what UX also is about: understanding problems and solving them. And sustainable UX means we need to solve the right problems and, well, think beyond the obvious ones. And let me come up with another example. And this tweet is from last year, and I'm still using it because it's working so well for me, right? So in case you cannot read it, it says electric cars don't make this sustainable. Right, so we are talking so much about carbon emissions, and I have sometimes the feeling that electric mobility quite often is discussed as the solution, or at least for me, it feels like. And I mean, the thing is, our whole lifestyle is consuming too much energy. We need to consume less energy. We need to go more ways, well, maybe not with a private car, but by public transportation, by bike, etc. The solution cannot be to switch from fuel to electric-driven cars only, or at least as not 100% of our energy is produced regenerative. Well, and as long as poor people at the other side of the world need to mine the resources for our electric cars under harmful conditions. But there's also another aspect about cars. I mean, we have too many cars in our major cities, right? So most of the cars are not moving most of the time. So when I'm looking outside here in the street where I live, the cars are not moving. They are blocking the street the whole day. And so I don't own a car. And sometimes I ask myself, hey, where are my, I don't know, how much space need a car? 2.5 by 4.5 meters, maybe. So where are my 2.5 by 4.5 meters out here on the streets that I can use for something else than just putting a car there, right? And actually, the magazine Wired, they said something very interesting more than 2 years ago. They said self-driving cars are not disruptive, bike lanes and office showers are. Right? So we as UX designers, we are the people who are understanding problems and solving them. But it's important that we learn to even dig deeper for the real problems and look behind the mainstream curtain, I would say. And that leads to the next point, because it's also important to frame the problems the right way, right? To look behind the curtain of existing framings. And I have another example from the last century for you. This is a picture of New York in around 1900, so 120 years ago. You can see not even one car inside, but tons of people all over the street, some horses, but the horses are going slow, so everybody was safe. And actually that changed once more and more private cars came to the scene. And so what happened is that many people in the cities died because of cars, right? Because of collisions they had with cars. And actually what happened then, the public went furious. They saw cars and car drivers as violent people on streets that are streets that rightfully belonged actually to pedestrians. And newspapers ran headlines like the one you see here, with graphics portraying cars as the Grim Reaper or something like this. So the public opinion against cars became really really strong. And actually car sales went down in the midst of the 1920s by, I don't know, 10, 12, 15%, something like this. And so the automobile industry realized it needed to fight back. And it did so using a really clever gambit, I would say, because what they did is they began convincing pedestrians that traffic accidents were their fault, right? So the key to the strategy was the word jaywalking that was invented back then, and it's really clever. So in the 19 or in the early 20s of the century, the word jay mean like an uncultured person from the countryside. To be a jaywalker was to be like, yeah, the little dumb country guy who is hanging around urban streets, too dumb to know how to move in the sophisticated ways of the city. So in fact, what happened? The pedestrians um, who were harmed, who actually owned the streets before, who were killed by cars, were in the end blamed for being on the streets. In the end, with this clever move, the car industry took the city from the people by reframing the problem and putting the responsibility on the people and away from themselves. And why I'm telling you this? Because nowadays, many firms employ very much the same trick, evading responsibility for their products by claiming it's our fault if we get harmed by it, or blaming that it's our responsibility to act instead of theirs. So let me ask you a question. Who has or is calculating her or his carbon footprint regularly? So, well, since I cannot see you, I can ask you for a show of hands, but I guess most of us do. And I think many of us maybe even on a regular basis. And well, now I would ask you, did you know who invented the individual carbon footprint? Well, it was BP. They invented it to put the responsibility to us and away from them. We should believe that it's our fault and that we need to consume less energy. And do not get me wrong, every one of us needs to do his or her part, but we must not forget where the big impacts happen. And as I said before, part of UX is about understanding the problem. And as part of this process, it's on us to make sure we do not use problem framings that are maybe wrong. Sometimes the problem we get told is not the real problem. And it's on us, and it's part of our work to look behind the curtain and to uncover the real problems instead of just working in given frames. So let's go on to the next point, because sustainable UX also means we need to design for all aspects of sustainability. We talked a lot about CO2 emissions now, but there are a lot more aspects. Well, and the good news is someone already defined them very well. The United Nations did. They came up with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And well, we have climate and the environment here, but we also have, for example, good health and mental well-being, or inequalities, being it between nations or between genders. And designing for sustainability means to consider also these other aspects. And because, for example, I think, what have we won if we save the world only for us who were lucky enough to be born on the rich side of the planet? Or what have even we here on the rich side of the planet won when we save the planet but continue creating unhealthy mental conditions for us and having more and more people running into depression and burnout? So that means actually we also need to design ethical and responsible. And again, this could be a whole talk now, but I want to come up just with one example that I really like. So again, I would ask you now, who knows this book? And I think most of us do. It's from 2014, and I think most of us who were around back then know it and have read it. I think it was one of the Bibles of UX and other people back then. The point is, it should not be anymore, because what happened? We designed and actually still design products with the goal to get as much time from the users as possible. We design products to manipulate our users, to drag them more and more into our products, spending more time with them than might be even good for the users. In fact, we were and are harming our users with stuff like this. And I would like to ask you again, who knows who these gentlemen are? Since I can see you, I will tell you. It's a scene from a movie that is based on a very famous book. And it's not only famous in Germany, I think it's famous all over the world. It's called Momo. These gentlemen here are the so-called gray gentlemen. And it's a child book, but the important thing is it's not only a child book, but I think a perfect metaphor for nowadays. And so in case you do not know this story, I will tell you in just a few sentences. In the world of Momo, one day these gray gentlemen actually appear. They seem to be friendly, yeah, they seem to be friendly, but what they do actually, they lure all the people into selling them their time. Because the great gentlemen need the time to live, they are actually smoking it in so-called time cigars. And so they are stealing all the time from the people, creating a world as gray as the great gentleman, without any luck, joy, or happiness. In the end, it's Momo who is saving the people and the world by defeating the grey gentleman. The point is, who are the grey gentlemen nowadays? Ain't weird? Because we were and still are building products to steal time from our users instead of giving them just what they need. This needs to change. I mean, instead of being the grey gentleman, we need to be Momo. We need to save our users instead of harming them and instead of stealing them their time. And that leads me to the next point. Because sustainable UX also means not only to consider the product itself that we are building and the user itself, but also its surroundings. And well, I have another example for you. I think most of you know services like Gorilla, so I'm pretty sure you have that in Belgium as well. And it's not only Gorillas, there are many others, right? What they promise is, hey, you can by app order groceries and we will deliver them to your home door within 10 minutes. And well, okay, they never make it in 10 minutes, but that's not the point here. The thing is, you could say from a UX perspective, that is a great UX because I can sit on my couch and just order via app. And the only time I need to get up is to get to the door and take the stuff from the delivery rider. So yeah, great user experience, isn't it? Yeah. Well, maybe not, because what is the downside? Well, you have delivery riders who are not paid well. And well, if you live right next to one of the storage places that they use, so in fact they are very often placed in the neighborhoods, so they can be very fast at the people's home doors. Living right next to them is not fun because they have no designated loading areas like normal supermarkets have to. So trucks are coming by all the time. The delivery riders do not have a special like room where they can hang out, so they need to hang out on the streets. So it's really noisy there. And well, also these companies, they have a business model that is in fact that is not working, right? So they burn money to win market share without actually even knowing if the model might work profitable, at least at the current prices. And well, what happens meanwhile, they destroy the classic small grocery stores in our neighborhoods. So we could say quite high price for creating a great user experience. In fact, a great UX harms a lot of people in this example. So what can we do? Well, maybe we need to stop following one of the main mantras of that we followed for so many years. And that means we need to stop doing what we do most of the time. We need to stop designing for our users only. I know it's our thing, right? It's our profession. We think about the user, we fight for the user, we understand the user, we know what the user needs. But nowadays, this is not enough anymore. Well, and in fact, if you look, for example, at the core definition of human-centered design, this is already in there. It's just like most of us are not using this. So yeah, we need to stop doing this actually, and we need from this looking to the user only. We need to move to a humanity and environmental centered design approach, right? Because when we designers center around the user only, where do the needs and desires of the other actors in the system go? Focusing on the user only misses the view of the ecosystems and other actors it affects. And other actors could be other people, like the delivery riders, could be a surrounding like the neighborhood, or could even be the whole planet. And this is important for us. We need to ask ourselves, and we need to establish ways to make sure the needs of these other actors are not harmed by the stuff that we actually build. So we need to move beyond designing for the users of our products only. So the challenge is, how can we achieve this in our daily work? And well, yeah, we need tools and ideas. We need concrete solutions to run sustainable UX and drive sustainability in and through our work. And there is already some great stuff out there, especially in terms of less energy consumption, especially in terms of web design. But what we need actually is we need tools for for the whole design process. So not only for the main design phase, but also for all the other phases that we have in our design process. So we need tools and ideas for that, and it's important to move sustainability into every step of our processes, I think. And it also means we need ideas for all the SDGs. As I said, it's not only about energy consumption and CO2 emissions. And I think, we are lacking or we're missing out a lot when we are not going beyond only looking at energy consumption and carbon emissions, equalities, mental well-being, to name just two other important aspects. Because, as I said before, what have we won if we save the world only for us who were lucky enough to be born here on the rich side of the planet? But we also need communities. Being sustainable is an ongoing process. Things change all the time. We need to adapt, exchange thoughts, ideas, and go this way together. And this is why, and Annie already named that, why a small group of designers actually, including Bavo, and so that's why I'm really happy you invited me here, founded SUX, the Sustainable UX Playbook. And because we realized many designers out there are willing to act more sustainable, but they lack concrete ideas, or maybe not even ideas, but starting points and an understanding how to act and where to start, especially when it comes to ideas beyond website design. And we had the feeling, hey, it might be great to create something. That is why we started SUX. And when we started it, we were like, it's a one-time project, and we do this, and then we will be done at some point, and then we have a playbook. And I think the one thing we realized in the past months is that it's so much more than a one-time project, but instead needs to act in various directions. And that driving sustainability and sustainable UX is honestly a lifelong commitment, an ongoing project and way. So to end my talk, I'll give you a very quick, brief overview what we are doing there. So the idea is that SUX is, it's a non-profit initiative that's very important for us, and that our goal is to drive sustainability and responsible UX based on the UN SDGs in various ways. And various ways mean, SUX is a community. And honestly, this happened more accidentally in the first place, but meanwhile, it grew to a global community. And we are putting actually much more focus on this now. But SUX is also about creating this playbook, and so God will, we will release the first version quite soon. So we had groups working on ideas, and we are just building a prototype where we gather all ideas from our groups, but also from outside together to have like a resource for all people who want to design more sustainable. But SUX is also about doing live and online workshops. So we did a few online live workshops this year at conferences. We will do another next week at the Push conference in Munich. So in case somebody of you is there, happy to meet. Just drop me a message. And we also do cooperations with universities. So we ran a student project last semester with a university in Ulm, and the students had the goal to drive sustainability in the region, and it was a stunning project because they came up with great ideas. I'll have two pictures later on. And we just starting our podcast. So actually, Bavo and me did the first recording last Friday, and hopefully we will still in October release the first episode. We will see. And we had the great Tim Frick, the author of Designing for Sustainability, there. So as I said, it's many things actually that we are doing there. And to end this, just to give you a quick view. So that is the workshop template that we have, where different groups worked on and took one of the SDGs, tried to tackle it with UX methods to understand how it works and to come up with ideas. We are also using smart parts of this for the live workshops, for example. And actually, SUX founding member Alice did a stunning job building that. So if you need someone who is really great in doing Miro stuff, drop me a message. I will get you in contact with Alice. She's doing great. These are some pictures from our live workshops we did. So this is from the first workshop we did in May at a conference here in Germany. And these are a few pictures from the student project. So as you can see, the interesting thing was it was a digital UX class, and most of the groups did not come up with digital only solutions, but they came up with hardware solutions, right? So one group created a book to drive gender equality. One group came up with a little with a way to green house walls actually, and so on. So it was really nice to see that these young people came up with really great ideas when we just gave them a little starting point where they could start working on. So what do you think? Does that sound interesting to you? We would love to welcome you to our community, and you do not need to buy anything. As I said, it's non-profit, it's for free. You can just come to our Slack channel or to our LinkedIn page. You can do more work if you want. So we just would love to welcome you there. As I said, we're just trying to do something to play our role in making or saving the world from going down. Let's say it like this way. And so now I want to come to an end and bring up the quote from the beginning once more. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. I think it's on us to be a change and to use the power that we have to drive change, being it for us, for our clients, or for the products that we build. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, get in touch, contact me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to discuss or ask questions now.
And we do. Thank you so much for that talk. It was great to get an update on your toolkits and what you're doing. We have some questions actually, and the first is about the toolkit itself. And I'm assuming this is someone who does work for an agency. Is this something that will help me convince my boss? I assume to work more sustainably, or to include sustainability and ethics in the design process.
So I think one important thing is, there is not this one solution that works for everyone. It's more like, I think there are already many great things out there, and there are many more great ideas have been created by some people. And it's more like, so the goal of the playbook is to have the playbook where people can take whatever they need for their certain situation, because every one of us has different needs for different situations, being it in the design process. So like, am I at the very beginning, at the very strategic level? Am I a junior in the very hands-on design part of the process? And in terms of convincing, so what I see very often is that the first step of convincing is about creating transparency. So one example, I really like the idea. I mean, we all use user journeys, and I guess the people we work with, being it clients or being people in our agencies, they are also used to user journeys, I guess. And so why not putting an extra line into a user journey that says, hey, how much energy from which source is consumed at each step of the user journey? As a UX person, I can just put it in there, and nobody will beat me for that, right? And by this, and the first step, I create transparency, and I create a way to start maybe a discussion about this. So I think the bad news is there is not this one thing, and now everything is fine, and now we have changed everything. It's a process. It's about taking the first step and doing the next and the next and the next. But in terms of convincing people, it's especially the tools at the very beginning, like the one I just named. And it's about putting these things or weaving them into our existing methods. So adding extra layers of sustainability, and just put it there. Maybe do not even say too much about it. Just put it there and put it there as, that's the new normal. We put it there now, so everyone can see. And if you want to do it this way, then we are harming people. But you cannot say you haven't seen it.
Right. Change happens in baby steps. I agree with that. I have another quick question, I think. I was assuming they're referencing actual UI design, things like carousels. So how do you respond to someone saying, well, sustainable design is going to make our websites plainer, uglier, they won't win awards, that kind of thing?
Well, the thing is, what is not ugly? So, I mean, it's like, these big pictures. Who says this are nice? Is it not most often because everyone does it? Every next person also thinks he or she needs to do it, right? And I think if we start changing this, it's it's like every trend in every, I don't know, for clothing, for whatever, right? Things now it's this and then it's that. And I think we can change this. And well, in terms of, so the example for the city of Herning that I had in my presentation. And yes, I know, well, I mean, even the nice website looks a little bit ugly maybe. But the thing is, people in this case do not want a nice website. They want to access the information as fast as possible. They don't need the pictures and they don't want this. They will award if they get the information pretty fast. And so I think we can, if we do things like this, we can prove it with numbers, I think. So it's maybe hard to make the start, but we can do this, and I think we just need to start doing this, and we might have to fight some battles. That's the case. But yeah, as I said, what is ugly and what is not ugly. Today this is ugly, and tomorrow it's not. So, well, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe in 2 years. And if we start doing things different now, we will set the new standard for what's nice in 2 or 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. It's subjective. And maybe if people knew that this fancy design is causing more harm, they're more willing to let go of it than they might imagine.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from the audience in the room? I'll open it up to us. Otherwise, I think I have, let's see.
I have an addition.
Yeah.
It's even if you put pictures on a website, then just put them in WebP format, which is an 80% reduction in data compared to a PNG. So even if you do put pictures up, just never do JPEG, PNG, anything of that sort. Use WebP.
Okay, WebP. Good addition.
True.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I do have a question.
Not a question, but adding to that, actually, I think it could also be interesting to let the viewer know why this option exists to have a more sustainable website. I think that would also reduce some potential barriers that might have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually worked on a project similar to the example that you had about delivery options. And once we informed people that at-home delivery is actually quite a polluting option, a lot of them switched. So sometimes it's just about informing people of the decisions that they make, and they'll change. So
it's a lot about creating transparency, right? So, for example, here in Germany, the Deutsche Bahn, so the trains here, when you buy a ticket, I think they always have at the bottom, they tell you how much CO2 you have saved compared with a flight, for example. And this is also a great way to show people, hey, yeah, this is the better option, and then people will learn this, and we can do this. Sometimes it's very easy just to show this to people, and then they will learn and understand.
Yeah, and then hopefully start asking other brands for that as well.
Yeah, I mean that's why I had this example for the Organic Basics website, right? So they're putting these things in there. They are not forcing users. It's just they're just putting in very little areas that are high enough to make people think a little.
Yeah.
And that's maybe all. Sometimes that's already a very good thing to do, and without changing everything and building a website without any pictures or whatever.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really happy to have you in the room, in the virtual room. And I want to also say thank you to everyone at home who joined us this evening and also submitted questions. It's really great to have you here with us virtually. And to our small audience in the living room here, thank you for joining us and adding a little bit of atmosphere. You know, with lockdown, we tried all different types of things to keep this going, because it's so important for the community to keep meeting together, and it's great that we're able to be back in person, but it's also fun to kind of mix it up and do these little living room events as well. But next time we will be back in person. Our next event is at November 5 in Antwerp, last Tuesday of the month. As usual, we'll be there with 2 speakers, and we hope to see you there. Check the meetup page to RSVP. And thanks to everyone, and especially to Bavo, of course, as usual, for providing all of these live streams. I think we're on like 100 platforms right now live streaming. It's really impressive. He does a great job for us every month to keep us all connected. So thank you very much, Paavo. And it didn't break tonight. Woo! All right. Okay. See you next time, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.